Power of words. Once you know how words, along with sound, can be used to direct energy to produce magic effects, you will know that words could be as powerful or even more powerful than swords. When you move the letters around in words to the front, you get sword. This is not an accident. Nearly all words in the English language are carefully designed and put together in a way that produces magic effects, so that the creators, the dark magicians of these words, can trick you into playing their con game. Is this hard for you to believe? Are light bulbs flashing like crazy on your head right now? If not, you still have a lot to learn.
Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ad inferis, humano generis serenus ibuxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm upset, I'm angry, I'm hurt. More so for my son. My son hasn't never been through anything like this, and I feel like they should have handled this differently. She was wrong. She was way out of place. The charges dropped, and I want the school to be held accountable and the officer for what happened, because it shouldn't have been handled the way that it was handled.
You feel the need to snatch me out of my chair. Why couldn't have you just asked me to get up? I mean, I still would have said no, but it's better than snatching me out of a chair and forcing me to stand.
Still reeling, Stone Chaney and his family are banding together against what they say happened at the start of his third day of 6th grade, when it was time to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
A teacher just comes up, puts her arms under my armpits and snatches me out of my chair. I say I don't stand for the pledge. She just glares at me and walks away. I just feel like my rights were violated. So, she was the teacher consultant, the person who teaches other people not to put their hands on students. So, who knows what other teachers she's taught her way of thinking.
A rough start to his first year at East Middle School got even worse when he says he returned the next morning to a substitute teacher driving the point home, ordering him to stand and telling him he would need a special note to be allowed to sit.
God said to me, don't worship any idols, and pledging to a flag would kind of be like worshiping it. It's Not if I have a reason or not, it's my right.
His parents demanded action at a school board meeting. Now both teachers have been placed on administrative leave.
One of the main issues that we are having a problem with is the fact that an adult felt the need to put their hands on my child.
Very proud of my son. Very proud. He's a national hero right now.
That's right.
Farmington Public Schools superintendent showing inclusion for Stone in a statement saying the district fully supports the right of each student to participate or not in the daily pledge. At Farmington Public Schools, we expect every child and adult in our district to be treated with dignity and respect. At this time, the district cannot speculate about the outcome of the pending investigation. And Ollie is encouraged by the district's recent action. They're focusing now on the bigger picture.
I have 3 little brothers, so if we let it get away with me, who knows what happens to the rest of them. I hope it never happens to them. Nobody in East, nobody in Michigan.
You know, I think a good question for everybody, looking at this situation will be, why don't the kids know what they're taking a pledge for? Like, did they tell them that this was a contract that binds them and take their sovereignty and takes all their properties in the states? So yeah, why don't they tell them that and what the pledge is all about? Why don't he know that? Why don't the other kids even know that? Why is this just protocol when you come to school in the morning? Why don't they really break down to these kids what this stuff really means? Because if you're not going to break down to them what it really means, then it's just pure indoctrination then. You see? So what they need to be telling the kids, whether they're in school or anywhere or at home, is that your pledge is yours. Your pledge is to you and for you. And how is somebody else going to make spiritual law for you? Because all law is spiritual. How's someone else going to make spiritual law for you? They're making spiritual law for you. They're molding your spirit to what they want it to be. They're the ones setting up your morals and ethics and telling you how to view something and look at something and feel about something. That's your pledge, which is your contract, which is your covenant. So they basically saying they're going to rewrite your life. That we know that your life is already written, but we're going to rewrite it to make it work for us and our system and our controls. So we can tax you and hit you with contracts that'll bind you. You see? And the reason why they took your pledge is because we're all born rich, free, and sovereign. They needed your pledge. Why did they need your pledge? Because your pledge says that I own you. Meaning I can take your estates and all your property and all your children, which is what they done. Like they say, you raise them, we cage them.
As we'll explain in a moment. But first remember, anyone who voluntarily subjects himself to the laws or jurisdiction of another is, in every way, obligated to abide by the terms of any contracts or laws established by whomever establishes the rules of the contract. In simple terms, this meant that the former slaves became subjects first to the United States, and secondly to the state in which they lived. They had no sovereignty whatsoever. They had no sovereignty whatsoever. They had no sovereignty whatsoever. This status had never existed in the United States prior to that time.
Prior to what time? Prior to them releasing the slaves into their so-called freedom. The Act of 1871 came after the paperwork to free the slaves came in 1865. So by 1871, they had the resolution together. And this was the resolution, to get them to pledge their allegiance and their sovereignty, to bind them under ownership contracts. Because under the new law, a man had to willingly sell his authority and give up his rights to self through paperwork. And that's what they did. They had you give up the right to yourself through paperwork as a requirement to free you. In other words, contracting you into slavery. That's the pledge. And by you doing this willingly, that's the allegiance. That's the submission, the obedience, the slave. So either by ignorance or by force, threat, and duress, he gave up his sovereignty, which is his authority, his right to self-govern, his right to own himself and his own land and his property. So this is why they wanted you to pledge your allegiance and give up your sovereignty. It's their proof of ownership. And you know how they look at that, right? Oh, we get to make laws for them. And if we get to make laws for them, then how can they keep up with us? Every time you try to come up, I'm going to make a law for you that's going to keep you weak. Just like when the Black Panthers started carrying legal firearms, right? The government shifted gears, went ahead and changed the law on the guns so they couldn't gain any power under this very law, under the U.S. law, with their own law, and try to police their neighborhoods themselves and become police. Because if they can't police, that was the first step to becoming your own government, was to secure your land. So we got to understand, when we're giving up our pledge to something, we're giving up a lot. There should be nothing out there valuable enough to make us bargain with our spirits, which is our right to self-govern. Now, why would we give up something that powerful? The only reason someone will give up something that powerful if they don't know the value of it. And that's the problem. We don't know the value of our authority. We don't know the value of our rights in keeping our pledge for ourselves. Instead of being under contracts where people can deal with us and handle us any way that they want to, as long as it goes by their so-called moral books. You see? There's a difference from someone coming to your door trying to get a pledge for you to buy something versus, dealing with this kind of pledge. Because the way they work in this thing is they locking you into that commitment because they're the master in that contract. And they hold you to that commitment to death. And that birth certificate and that contract grants them all the power they would need under this system.
I lead you to Peter 2:18. Submit yourselves to your masters, not only to those who are good and considerate, but also to those who are harsh.
And that's exactly what giving up your Pledge of Allegiance is. It's submitting yourself to the master. And see, that's why they want that pledge so bad. Because they know that that pledge is the covenant of God, which is the true master. So if they can take your contract with God and make it a contract with them, then they get all of your power that was meant for you. Because at first, it was a contract with yourself. Basically, a spiritual birthright. You see? And that's what they took away from you, your spiritual birthright, to be exact. Our Pledge of Allegiance is a pledge to be a slave. That's what you're actually pledging. Let me read it for you right here. Okay, here we go. Allegiance, loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or cause. Now, first of all, I don't have no superiors. Second of all, I'm not fucking subordinate to nobody. Now, how is y'all supposed to say that we're all supposed to be considered equal, but then turn around and say I'm subordinate to somebody under some contract that I didn't even give no consent to? How was my parents going to sign me off to somebody else for life? That's not even their choice. And that's crazy that y'all will even make a system that will accept something like this. That says something about y'all moral aptitude. Why you keep calling yourselves moral and judging people in these courts like you're God when you're working for a system that's responsible for mass murder. of adults and children, may I add. So you can't be my superior. My only superior to me is my spirit. You see what I'm saying? So back to the definition of this allegiance. Let's see. Allegiance. Loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or cause. Loyalty, faithfulness, fidelity, obedience, adherence, homage, devotion, bond. Okay? Now, here goes the decoding to it. Allegiance. Submit to the masters, give up your authority, and hand over your souls at once. Your energy is under my command by law. Renounce your spirits of God, your authority to self-govern. Now I am your God, landlord, and master. Now, do you think when our kids is reading the definition of allegiance in school, they're getting this same message that I just gave them right now? Not at all. You know why that is? It's because they're using spells on them. This is all word magic. So even though they're telling right in their face loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior, even though they're telling them that right in their face, it's not really registering like that because of the programming. You see what I'm saying? But they're letting you know that your pledge is a pledge to be a slave and up under an authority. Someone that have a spirit like you, but their spirit is claiming God over your spirit instead of the natural spirit of God. There's a problem with that.
When you sign a contract with a corporation or the government, you are agreeing to a fraudulent and deceptive treatise. In other words, you are being conned. The good news is that pretty much all the contracts you made with corporations and governments and government agencies are fraudulent, since they do not come with full disclosure.
So, when you pledge your allegiance, that's literally you saying that you are going to allow these people to contract you into submitting and being obedient to their rule. And when you do that, your sovereignty is what you're giving them. Your submission and your obedience is your soul. That's what you are submitting to them. And that is what's going to be obedient, is your soul.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So as you can see, sovereignty says soul / spirit / authority / free will / freedom, which freedom and free will is exactly the same thing. So we got to understand that when we're giving up our sovereignty, which we're called citizens, we are not sovereign. If we was, we would be saying, I pledge allegiance to my sovereignty. But we don't. We say we pledge allegiance to the United States of America, who has my sovereignty, who has my authority, who has my freedom, who has my free will, who is spirit hacking me and setting constitutional law within inside me. We don't have no rights. We are stripped down slaves. Anything that we have that we think we own, they are letting us have just to cast the illusion of freedom to everybody. And they'll take it away from you if you get out of line. Like trying to be free or something. And if you wasn't no slave, wouldn't no one have the right to take nothing from you. You see what I'm saying? And you hear that word right? These people then literally gave themselves rights over you. And they've been doing this from day one. So, for all the people out there, especially black people that think you out of slavery, nigga, you need to step back and take a look again. This 10, 12-year-old boy just now went to jail for not standing up to do what you're looking at on this screen right now. Contract his covenant oath of God and give his allegiance, his submission and obedience to people that show him that they ain't got no respect for his kind. What's that boy, like 12 years old? Well, he get to see black people get killed on national TV and nobody get held accountable for it. And y'all want him to still stand up in front of this flag, his hands on his heart, like he loved this shit. But truth be told, the ones that's pulling this whole scandal off, they're the ones that's loving this. Because you gave them your allegiance. And giving them your allegiance ain't just some kind of plaything. See, you shouldn't have to give up your allegiance just to say that you abide by a group of rules. That's just two different things. Me saying I abide by a group of rules ain't saying I'm going to be obedient or submit to anybody or I'm anybody's slave. But this contract is saying that you owe them your life. And that anything that comes from you that you produce, whether it be something you created or your child, that it is United States property. And all this is done through submission. So why should this kid get arrested for saying he don't want to put his hands over his son's heart and give these people his energy and his soul and his life? He's not a subordinate, is what he's saying. He's not giving up submission because he's not a subordinate. He's not giving you permission because he have authority. You see? So this is a big word game. This is actually a form of witchcraft. A lot of people think witchcraft is just summoning some kind of demons or some kind of spirits or something. But what you're looking at on the screen right here, this is witchcraft. What they did with the words, this is witchcraft. And that's to twist the spirit up and to put it to sleep and to make it obey. And this is the spell that everybody's up under. You know? Because I'm going to tell y'all as simple as I can what they did, okay? Every word is meant to be used for self-mastery for the spirit. Because word is swords, meaning cutting tools, okay? Cutting tools is usually used to cut a diamond to perfection. So these words are inscriptions, which really were the original prescription to all things. This is what they used to prescribe. This is what the ancients prescribed. They prescribed inscriptions, meaning words that will help you master your spirit and make you sharp and give you a script to go by. See, once your spirit knows its script, the script that it chose for itself, then can't no one contract you in to pledge your allegiance and give you the wrong prescription for your soul. That's what this is all about. All words belong to the spirit, script. And this is why they want to control the narrative. Because the script, it was written already. So the only way to control the world and take them away from their simplicity is to control the narrative, which is to control their script. Which means they're not spiritually getting what they're supposed to be getting. Which is what we would call the true scriptures, which was written already. In the creation, it's all a script. Everything was already scripted. So once you knew your script, then they couldn't take it from you no more. The laws are already set in place, like what we know of as science today. You know, they pretty much studying the laws that are set in place. You are law. Your body is set up within the laws. Everything is set up within the universal laws. And this is one of their greatest secrets right here, is that the script is already written. So they're going off the script that's already written, and they're giving you a script that they made up. You see what I'm saying? Like the ghetto, like the streets. That's a made up script. Poor people in poverty, all made up. And they took spiritual research as their script, which is what they call science today, you know. And that's how they're getting you to obey. Because all of this is a script. It's one big movie set. It's a script like the Truman Show. So them telling you to pledge your allegiance and your sovereignty, these are all words of the Spirit. So this is them taking the script that belongs inside of you and taking it outside of you and putting it in a courtroom full of typewriters and lawyers and DAs and all kind of audience and railroading your ass. And they fit to hit you with the script. You see what I'm saying? They about to hit you with the script that's already in you, that they pull out of you, and they fit to hit you with it because you gave up your sovereignty. You see what I'm saying? Because what this is all about is self-mastery, spiritual mastery. So every word like pledge and allegiance, all those things is internal words. That's internal. It ain't supposed to be external. But they made an external government when there's an internal government. See, the one thing that America is against, the biggest thing they're against, is people self-governing themselves. They want you to stand in the courtroom with all these people in it and all these books and all these different lawyers and these typewriters and stuff when all this stuff is inside of you. You got a whole council of angels and everything inside of you to make this decision. You are already whole. When you took your pledge, that's when they made you unwhole. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you made the wrong or bad decisions, karma is going to deal with you. And that's just the way the life is. And the police, and nobody can stop that, because do the police really save anybody's life? No, they just come and clean up the fucking scenes. You see what I'm saying? Do they really stop rapes? No. All the police do is drive around black neighborhoods trying to find black drug dealers trying to make some money because they know they ain't got no fucking jobs. That's all they do. You see what I'm saying? They know they ain't really got much jobs and this and that, so they go out there and they try to hunt them down and pull them over for a tail light or this and that, so they can get up in their car and violate their rights by not getting consent, going in there, searching their car, all kind of shit, right? That's what they do with their time. You know, and they hope that they can have a shootout with one of these brothers. That's what they do with all their time. But besides that, how many rapes and murders and all these real bad things do they stop? They don't stop none of them. How many times have you heard about a police all of a sudden coming into the middle of a robbery or the middle of a murder and stopping it and apprehending everybody? Man, that's once in a blue moon type of shit. You know what I'm saying? So they're not stopping none of it. So karmatic laws are still is what's governing everything. They catch you, they can, because really they're working for the corporations. They're not really working to keep you safe and to protect you. They're the ones that's doing you the harm. That's all part of the illusion why they're sitting here robbing the cradle. You see what I'm saying? They sitting here taking all your estates. Soon as you sign your pledge, like I said, they're getting $30 million loans in your name, and then they're making you the collateral. China owns most of America's debt. So that means that China might be coming to pick up the citizens of America in a minute. You see what I'm saying? And probably get to putting us in the back of trucks. Because we can't pay the debt back. And this is probably all of a sudden why they wanted to go ahead and start a war with China. You know what I'm saying? But all this is a whole lot of propaganda anyway, because like I'm going to tell you off top, all these wars are fake. And what I mean by they're fake, no, they're real, and people are really dying in them. But if you notice, after the war, the leaders are still friends, and the leaders were friends before the wars. So really, the wars are used for all different kind of reasons. One reason is used to secure. So each country can make up excuses to secure their population and their masses with all these fraudulent ass laws, and then turn around and take all their authority. That's what this is all about: taking their authority, getting their pledge, taking that allegiance. I don't care what country it is. This is the plot. Because once they take that allegiance, they took that sovereignty. They got that soul, meaning they got ownership of you and your property now. You have been breached. You have been spirit hacked. You have been constituted. That's what this is. You see what I'm saying? So they can herd them and keep them as cattle by telling them that they're protecting them from the next country that's a threat to us. And the way that they make that real is they let real wars happen every once in a while. And they say, look, we're really enemies. You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they wasn't enemies for real once upon a time. I'm saying that now, if you notice, like there's a lot of information out there, right? Another president or another government can easily tell on another president and another government about all the shit that they hide and everything, right? They can easily tell on them. No problem. But you notice they keep all that stuff at a balance. They don't be telling on each other. They be just saying whether they're going to do this or not. We're allies right now. We're doing business on this end. They're business partners, man. If you know anything about the streets, then you will understand that real niggas, I don't care if they a blood or a crip or a vice lord or this or that. If they business motherfuckers, they're gonna do business. You know what I mean? And a lot of the little niggas might not even know they're doing business. You see what I'm saying? Funking with each other while these niggas doing business up top, because that's how this shit goes. You know, everything that's going on these streets is going on in politics. Because anybody that even want to rule over somebody else, something got to be fucking wrong with you. You see what I'm saying? Why would I want to rule over you? I would rather for you to have your own place under these heavens, which is enough space for everybody. You see what I'm saying? So why would I want to rule over you when I know there's enough space for everybody? But you see this system that they wired up just to rule over you and take your estate, even though they know it's enough room for everybody? This is world domination. And the way they're doing it is by taking everybody's estate, by taking everybody's sovereignty. That way, they don't have no rights to no land. They are owned by someone. Therefore, property and not free.
Told my son to go back to his homeland. He was confused. He was like, what do you mean, Africa?
You see, these immoral bastards took this little bitty boy to jail. Y'all gotta understand what this little boy's spirit is feeling and experiencing right now. These adults came and took this child to jail for not pledging and submitting his sovereignty to them. Do y'all understand what this means? Well, I hope we really get it, because we're coming to a boiling point to where they are fit to come out, and which is, I think that's what they're doing right now, and they're not fit to hide what they've been disguising as freedom, which was a prison all the time. They're not fit to hide that no more. Now they're fit to come out. You notice they built FEMA camps all across America. They putting the 5G weaponry up all over around your houses right now. And Trump is trying to build a wall around this bitch. And they got drones, and they got this, and they got that, and it keeps on going on and on. So we got to take all that in consideration and look and see that, hey, like Cat Williams said, who y'all plan on putting in those FEMA camps? Well, it might be the people that is signed up right here as a citizen through their pledge and through their allegiance and through their sovereignty, which is supreme authority, the right to self-govern yourself. I mean, I don't know how many ways or what kind of way do I have to say that to make people understand that is the God in you. That is your spirit. Your spirit is what gives you rights to life. Your spirit is what gives you rights to govern yourself. And if someone take that spiritual right away, then it's like you don't even exist. It's like you're nothing. Why? Because you gave them your everything. That's just like taking the air out of a balloon or a turtle out of its shell. You know what I'm saying? If you let them take your spirit, if you let them take your sovereignty, if you let them make you pledge of allegiance, then they just took you out of your shell. And there ain't nothing in that shell no more. And this is why they call you a fictitious person, which means a fake character. someone that's not operating in true self or someone that's not operating in spirit. Automatically, they're going to feel like if I got to make all the rules for you, if everything you do is only what I say, then you are nothing. And only my word means something. Only my word have power. Because your sovereign spirit, your God spirit, is only listening to the command of my word. Not God's word, but the command of the slave master's word. I'm going to use that exact word for a reason. Because they're the one that made this system up. You see what I'm saying?